Hey guys, as I'm uploading my video from my Thursday leg day workout, just realized it's not gonna make it before any of you have your Thanksgiving meals. So there's some good Thanksgiving tips in there that I'd like to push up as soon as possible in case someone is scrambling last minute before their Thanksgiving meal for lunch or for dinner, and they want to know, I'm on a diet, I'm on a cut. What can I do to try and keep up my adherence to actually not blow my diet out of the water and stuff like that. So I thought I'd just record a quick video to talk through those tips that I talked about in my workout. So number one, one plate, the one plate rule, right? So it's pretty self-explanatory. Title says it all. Don't get two plates. And I mean, it sounds simple, but maybe not easy to execute. I talked about in the video, there's research that says that in a group setting, we tend to eat more than what we would if we were just on our own. So there is like this kind of, not like necessarily peer pressure, but there is this kind of social aspect to eating and eating more than you typically would. So what I would say was like, try to keep it to one plate. If you can keep it to one plate, and obviously you don't try to like hack the rule and just stack your plate up, but like get a decent amount that you think is going to fill you up. Okay. That being said, I would make a caveat of like your dessert. If you do want to partake in dessert, like don't feel like you have to fit that in on the original plate, assuming that you get decent sized portions of protein and stuff on your first plate. So yeah, rule number one, or tip number one, keep it to one plate. Tip two, I call in this like portion control, but it's more about ratio, right? So I talk about individual foods having high protein ratios. So thinking about trying to shoot for 10 or 20 grams of protein per 100 calories. Like that's a good kind of ratio of protein to calories. You can also expand that out to a meal, right? So if your entire meal is 10 grams of protein to 100 grams or 100 calories, then that's a pretty good ratio to shoot for as well. So, if your entire meal is 500 calories, getting 50 grams of protein would be great. You might not hit that. You might hit 30 or 40. That would still be, close, but and more would be great. But a way that you can do that on your one plate is to get a higher ratio of the high protein foods. Thanksgiving is a lucky holiday for this fact, and that the main dish is usually turkey, right? It is a lean white meat. Unless it's like super like deep fried or something like that, it's going to be very high protein. So I would just dedicate at least a quarter or a third or a half of your plate to some protein, some turkey. If there's ham, that's also fine too. It's decently high protein. So yeah, think about the ratio. So think about more turkey, less mashed potatoes. I would try to stay away from like casseroles, like green bean casserole, hash brown casserole, sweet potato casserole. Those are going to be have a lot. They're going to be very calorie dense and low in protein. Regular, just like stewed green beans, are going to be decently low calorie, high sodium, but they're going to be decently low calorie. My family likes to make deviled eggs. Eggs are great. Deviled eggs obviously are going to have more calories, but again, the egg itself has protein. Yeah, and then gravy is just just think about being moderate with your gravy. Yeah, so tip two is kind of like your ratio, and then also think about your ratio of your one plate to your dessert. Your dessert plate should not be as big as your meal plate, right? And then I talked about one of the things that I plan on doing is I really like to have multiple desserts. There's always lots of desserts, but the two that I am really wanting and looking forward to are pumpkin pie, and we usually have cinnamon rolls. But what I'm going to do is rather than having 2 full helpings, I'm going to have each of them so it's like 1 dessert, right? So I know that a Sam's or a Costco pumpkin pie is like the serving size is like 110 grams, so I'm going to cut that in half, 55, and then I have a cinnamon roll recipe that my sister makes that I've calculated, and I know that half of that will be like 45 grams, and that will be my dessert. All right, and then the third tip is to pre-plan. So, and to show you what I mean, like I'll just go ahead and share my screen on my phone. Go in with a plan. Don't just expect that you're going to be able to kind of feel it out and, track it as you go. One thing that you can do to help is to actually just enter your estimates before you go. Like, I have this estimate of turkey breast and gravy from this Target like pre-prepared plan, and it was like decently sized, and I can envision, I just had it a couple weeks ago, so I can envision how much that looks like. It'll help with estimating. Humans are notoriously bad at estimating, especially food portions. So anything that you can do to try and give you an edge on estimating, do that. I put in green beans, and this is just an estimate from like a Texas Roadhouse or something, whatever that like side, that small little cup of green beans would be. So again, that's my frame of reference. I have like a deviled eggs recipe. I have a mashed potatoes recipe that I know per weight. I have an estimate for turkey. I've put in the full pumpkin pie here. I'm actually going to change that. Actually, I'll do that later because I don't want to mess anything up for now. Some whipped cream and then that half of a cinnamon roll. So you can see that's already 1,400, almost 1,500 calories, plus my coffee that I've already had. I'm already at 1,500 calories for the day. If you have watched any of my other videos, you know that I'm shooting for 1,600 calories on average, but that's a buffer. I'm actually shooting for 1,800 to 1,900 calories on average for the week. So I've been, I guess this would be like a tip 4 would be like average over the week. All right, I have been eating lower calorie days. I've been sticking to the 1,600 every other day this week so that when I have a higher calorie day today, my average will still be in that 1,800, maybe 1,900 range, right? So I can still, like I'll show you, even if I did 1,600 calories times 6 days, that's 9,600 calories plus one 2,900 calorie day. That's as high as I would want to go today. That's my maintenance calories. And I divide that by 7. I'm still under 1,800 calories. So by sticking to 1,600 the rest of the week, I have given myself a lot of latitude to still stay to my maintenance calories. So I'm not really getting in a surplus in any one particular day, but I am at maintenance. So I have quite a bit more calories to work with. So that would be like the tip 4 would be calorie stack your days. Or I don't know what to call it, but think about the average calorie intake over the week. Still try to stick under your maintenance calories for any one individual day, but know that it's okay to have a one day that's a little bit higher. So, and then going back to tip 3 on the pre-planning, have it in your mind what you want, but also if you have a calorie tracking app, just go ahead and enter it, like pre-enter it. You can always update it. I'm still on the fence. I may take my scale, my food scale with me, and I'm not going to hold it with me and weigh things out in the line. But when I go to sit down, I might just sit my scale down and sit my plate on top of it, press tear, and then eat my turkey and see, oh, I only ate 100 grams of turkey. I thought that was 200. Or, oh, that was 300 grams of turkey. I thought it was only 200. That may change what actually happens here. It'll get a little bit more accuracy, but it won't be that far off of what I estimated because I've actually entered it in here. And I can always swap things out, right? We talked about this with budgeting, like with finance. It's the same thing with budgeting for food. You have the flexibility to change. Yesterday, I was planning on having soup for dinner, and my wife wanted to go out to eat. And so I got a spicy Southwest chicken salad, and it ended up being fine. I ended up still being able to stick to my calories and stuff because I was able to have flexibility and still get something that had somewhat good protein and decent calories. So you don't have to be super duper rigid. You just try to have to do things to set yourself up for success. Stick to one plate. Think about your ratio of what you're eating, your protein ratio of your foods. Stick to one small plate of dessert. Pre-plan and enter your meals so that you know what's available for your other meals. When I come back for dinner, I know I'm going to need to stick to lower calorie stuff, maybe a soup. And then calorie stack your days so that your average is what you're shooting for, so that your average is actually your cutting target. All right, so if you need to cut back a couple of days so that you can have a higher calorie day, do that. All right, so that's it. That's my Thanksgiving holiday meal tips. I think it goes without saying that if you're calorie stacking, you probably don't want to have like 2 holiday meals like in a row, like as far as days. Like if it's okay to have this 1 calorie high day on Thursday, but I wouldn't recommend taking home a bunch of leftovers and then having the same meal the next day. If you want to take some leftovers, take the turkey, right? Take the stuff that's going to be good that you can eat in a decently portion controlled manner the next day when you reheat it or whatever. So yeah, hope this is helpful. It's hard to cut over the holidays. It can be difficult, and if you go in unprepared into a social setting like that, you're gonna not blow it, but you're gonna eat more than you think, because we're terrible estimators and we eat more in social gatherings. So have a plan, try and stick to it. Thanks and good luck.